Howdy, everybody. Hope you're awake, hope you're alive, and welcome to Nerd Hell. It's me, Robinson Brown.
And me, Stanley.
Hey. How's your week been, Stanley?
Dude, you know what? I actually have kind of a positive to share because I finally finished my thesis. I finished it and I sent it in for critiques, and then my professor is going to read it. Then he's going to send it back to me, and I have to correct it, and then I get a presentation in like 2 weeks. So essentially, that was kind of like my big celebration thing, especially after the whole thing when he goes, hey man, I'm gonna need you to like rewrite your introduction and conclusion within the next 2 days. And so I spent like so much time writing. I wrote probably about 22 pages of introduction and conclusion in those 2 days. So I've just been waiting. That's it. I've just been waiting. What's been going on with you? Other because I'm sure you didn't have to write like that much, but I'm sure you've been doing stuff too.
Yesterday, I made chicken wings, and I found out the secret to making the sauce not so watery.
Oh,
It's flour.
oh, it's
It's
flour.
flour.
You didn't
Yep.
put flour before in the chicken sauce, man.
No.
Mm. I mean, like,
So,
I don't even eat meat, and I know that like that's kind of like a big thing to do.
so just because I'm a cook doesn't mean that I know anything about cooking.
That's perfectly fine, dude.
I know.
So you learned how to do like chicken, right? So you learned how to do the chicken sauces. What was the? Is there anything else? Like, did you go see a movie? Because obviously mine is like really stupid because it's like, oh my god, I'm done working on this thing that I've been working on for a year, and I'm sure people will be ready for me to finally stop talking about it. So
Oh, but then we got to get you a shirt, the Brian Welch shirt that says I have a PhD.
I no, I not yet, my guy. I'm only gonna be having a master's degree.
So I went out and I saw the Black Widow movie, and also let me tell you something real quick because I like watching movies in the morning. I watched Black Widow at 10 a.m. and everybody I told to about that said I'm weird.
Why you don't want to
What's
go see a matinee?
what's a matinee?
A matinee is like when you go see it like before prime movie slots, right? So it's when you go see the movies around like 1 or 12 or like even in the morning, and they give you like discounted prices for going to see movies at matinee.
Yeah, they got the early bird special, and the early bird special is like on before 2 p.m. And so, like, I like getting the luxury seats. Almost nobody in the theater, no lines for popcorn. Oh, it's so good.
Yeah, I never understood that kind of like thing because there's a when I was in Germany, we went to go see a movie at a matinee, and because there were only 4 people in the movie theaters, they just went ahead and canceled the movie because it was wasteful. It was wasteful for electronics, and it was wasteful for the staff to be there. So they decided to just go ahead and like just cancel the movie, give us our money back, and said, "Okay, come back like later in the afternoon. You can watch this movie." And I was like, "Okay, fine." Like, I guess I have to take my bus back, but still.
Did they later charge you like the prime time prices?
Yeah, they did. So
That's kind that's kind of mean, dog.
dude, it's a corporation. What do you expect?
Um, so the movie in question was Black Widow,
Yeah.
and my scale for literally everything is a 1 out of 5. Um, so three being, hey, this is not a waste of time. Give it a shot if you can. A four being, it's a personal like. Personally, I super like it. Might not be for everybody. A five is you need this in your life. Do everything you can to have this in your life.
Okay.
A two is I could have done anything else, but yeah, it's not that great, but it's not the worst. A one is avoid at all cost. It is not worth it.
Oh man,
And
that's bad, right? Because so what score did you give Black Widow?
I would give Black Widow a three to be honest, because it's Marvel, fantastic quality, good comedy, lands flat at times, but pretty good overall. What sucks is that it's a prequel, right? It's based between Civil War and I think the first Infinity War, right? So this is when like everybody's imprisoned and Black Widow's just running around doing stuff. So that sucks.
Or would it be more like they're everyone, or it's not everyone's in prison, right? Because you said it was before Civil War, right?
Oh no, after Civil
Oh, it
War,
was after
before
Civil War.
Infinity War.
Okay, so it's her just kind of running around doing whatever. Well, I mean, she is like a spy, right? She's like like a covert like Russian spy. So wouldn't she be able to like avoid most intelligence agencies?
Yeah, and they really play her skills up as a spy because instead of like the first Avengers where she's like sitting in a corner shooting aliens, she's actually, showing off her skills in espionage, one-on-one combat. It's really interesting.
Hmm.
Um, but the reason I didn't think it was so great is because well, one, we already knew how it was going to end, right?
Mm-hmm.
So this is just like one of those side stories that isn't going to really matter in the long run, which kind of sucked going into it, but it's not terrible.
Hmm.
And two, this isn't a spoiler because this villain gets introduced like within the first 10 minutes, but they use Taskmaster, you know,
Mm-hmm.
and they completely ruined his character.
Okay.
I
Now,
absolutely hated what they did to Taskmaster.
oh really? Okay.
Yep.
You see, like, here's the thing, though, is that, like, would you say for someone who's not into Marvel movies, right? Because I really used to be, like, into them, but I got burnt out on them really quickly. And I really have very little connection to a lot of mainline Marvel characters because I don't know, my parents never really bought me comics, and I was never really I was allowed to read them, don't get me wrong, but I was never um, given the opportunity to. So, would you say that someone who's not into Marvel would actually enjoy this movie?
I think everybody who's not into Marvel can enjoy the Marvel movies, especially this one because, yeah, one of the reasons I didn't like it is that if you change the name, like it's not Black Widow, it's Laura Croft or whatever, it would still be an enjoyable movie. But
Yeah,
that's if you like dumb action. I love dumb action.
yeah. Okay. Well, hey, that's fine.
Yeah,
Um,
that's why it's a 3 out of 5 because what I do appreciate about the Marvel Cinematic Universe is that they don't try to be canon. They're just like, hey, we found this. We're gonna try to use this. All right.
mm,
It's probably not gonna be super accurate, but we're gonna do the best we can with it.
mm. You see, because I was under the impression, because what is the I started watching the Loki movies, or not the movies, but the TV series, and since I had not really kind of looked at it, Savannah and I watched the first episode, but we didn't really watch the second one. We just kind of, I think Savannah was back from work, so she wasn't really paying attention to it, and I liked it, but I could tell her she was kind of bored with it, so we watched something else. But this weekend I watched the other 4 episodes, and I like that. I think that that's a good one. Plus, I like Owen Wilson, so I think, like, cause so I like Loki, right, and I like that kind of stuff, and I guess this will come into our conversation later, right? But I think, um, I think interestingly enough that maybe I'll go see Black Widow, but I'll see Black Widow at home because I'm not really ready yet for like going back towards everything. And do you know what I mean about like this? Because
Oh,
one
I
of the
know what you mean.
things
Yeah.
one of the things that kind of frustrates me is that if everyone were vaccinated and everyone were like approaching and had done their thing, their part, then we would be back to normal, right? But I live in Texas, and so we have a lot of like anti-maskers here, and it's one of those of the state says that you cannot force mask solutions, and teachers can't force, and schools can't force mask solutions on their students and that kind of thing. But I'm going to wear a mask anyways because the only 2 times that I've ever been sick at work was when 2 people sneezed in my face. So, and those were on 2 separate occasions. I think one was a student and one was an adult. So,
Oh,
yeah.
you,
Um,
you
but
don't expect it from the adults.
no, no, no. You don't expect it from the adults, right? Because you think like, hey, they're adults. Their frontal cortex is actually fully matured to the point where it's not like evolving, right? It's not elastic as it should be. So, I think for my biggest fear is that I just don't trust other people that have gotten vaccinated, right? Because they can be like, oh yeah, no, I've gotten vaccinated, and they just like walk up with a fever. So,
Overconfidence.
right, just act chill, just act cool. But no, I just took a shower. I swear this is not sweat. Yeah.
Also, you gave me a new insult to throw at people.
What?
Stretchy brain.
Stretchy brained, yeah.
Oh yeah.
There's like this really old video because I don't like conspiracy theories, but I'm fascinated by the people that believe them. And so a lot of times, like, I'm really into like knowing the InfoWars people because I think they're really strange people. And
I was about to say that's the reason why we love Alex Jones on the show. Not support, but we love.
I love him in the same way that I find mass murderers interesting, right? It's from like this really macabre hole inside of me. Like, does he really believe these things? Does he? Or is he just like actually insane? Or does he just, does he believe these things in as far as he gets money from stupid people? And, but there was this reporter that from InfoWars that went out to a protest back in 2018, and there was a girl dressed up like in a Sailor Moon outfit who was just kind of sitting there on her phone, and the reporter came up and started asking her questions, and she was like, oh yeah, no, I like Bernie Sanders. And the lady was like, can you tell me why you like Bernie Sanders? Like in that really condescending tone, and she was just like, because I want people to have health care. And the info warrior kind of like pressed her on it, and she just looks up from her phone and says, man, you people have worms in your brains, kind of thing. And I was overjoyed. I was like, I need to use that at some point, but also, when would I ever use that? But yeah,
it seems like confrontations like that are very rare.
Yeah, well, especially like when other people expect that, like, with any of these mask rules or anything, that like confrontation is always going to be the biggest thing, right? It's gonna happen at some point, but still, enough of my kind of like afraid of going to the movies because I don't trust Texans to actually get vaccinated.
I can shoot the virus, right?
You can't. You can shoot the virus with something called, white blood cell immunity that is done by, I don't know, vaccines, but still.
I think Texans would be more inclined to take the vaccine if it was distributed through a shot glass.
You're not wrong in that kind of regard, but still. So I'm glad that you liked Black Widow. I might go see it. I might not. I'm just not. I don't know.
Definitely just watch it at home.
Yeah.
Like, unless I think something is a 4 or above, I'd say, just wait. The thing is, I love the movie theater experience.
Well, yeah.
I love the black room. I love the giant screen. I love almost committing suicide by cholesterol with all the butter I put in my popcorn.
Dude, 100%.
It's a great time.
Like, and there are movies that are made to be watched in, like, theaters. Like, have you ever seen the movie 1917?
Yes, I have. I saw it at home, but I can imagine how it would feel like in a movie theater.
Yeah, like, I've always wanted to watch 1917, like, in a movie theater, and then have, like, my Apple heart rate monitor record my, like, heart rate throughout the entire, like, experience of it, so that way I can, like, get it, because there were legitimate moments where it was just like, oh yeah, no, something bad's gonna happen, and it still happened, and it still made me jump. And
well, that movie made you feel like you were there.
And I know.
That's what was fantastic about it.
Well, don't worry. We'll have that debate again, because there is a group of people on YouTube called Wisecrack, and they have a podcast called Show Me the Meaning, and their podcast said that 1917 was not a really good film. It was not a good film, and all of them agreed. And there are a bunch of philosophers that are trying to discuss, like, the philosophy of 1917. And as someone who was actually in a World War I class, like taking a World War I class for graduate school while that movie came out, I honestly think that they were wrong, but that's a discussion for a later time. You know what is kind of a good thing to talk about is our anime fact of the day. So,
hell yeah.
Oh, you ready for this?
Yes, lay it on me, weeb built like Viking.
Okay. So, did you know that anime actually acts as a form of what's called soft diplomacy? So, you have two different types of like diplomacy. You have hard diplomacy, which is like threatening with the military, economic structures, that kind of stuff. Then you have soft form diplomacy, which is like cultural things or food or like, that kind of stuff.
The
Well,
difference between Chips Ahoy and Chips Ahoy Chewy.
it's the difference between Chips Ahoy and Chips Ahoy heroin. So that's the kind of thing that I would kind of relate it to. But still, in 2004, the Japanese government sent water tank trucks to Iraq as a form of overseas development assistance, and they placed the flags of Japan and Iraq side by side on like the side of the truck, right? And the Iraqis, however, like didn't really know what the Japanese flag was, and that local citizens did not know what this flag is. And so, in response, the Japanese government decided that it would include on each side of the donated trucks a large sticker of Captain Tsubasa, who is the title of like this really big soccer manga and anime that's really well known in the Middle East. He's known as Captain Majid. And they just put this giant sticker of an anime character on the side of the truck, and all of a sudden they were like, yeah, no, we know who that is. This is obviously from Japan. So, so like compared with the Japanese flag, the anime character was actually more readily recognizable as a symbol of Japan rather than the actual flag. So there
That's
you go.
hilarious, and all it makes me think of is that Japanese war helicopter that has a waifu on the side.
Mm. Or like any of the Call of Duty, like there was a Call of Duty Cold War skin where it had like a Japanese anime character and it was like a Russian, like AK-74. It was great. It shoot out pink bullets. So
Beautiful.
beautiful.
Speak. Speaking of bullets, Super Mario Brothers,
Mm.
because Bullet Bill is a very ineffective form of a bullet.
No, I mean he's super slow too.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean he's just kind of gliding with style. He's not going at the 800 feet per second of what regular bullets require, right?
And to be completely frank, if I see somebody pull out a cannon from their back pocket, I'm not gonna be afraid
You're not gonna be afraid. Why?
because I can jump on this thing. I'll be fine.
Yeah, but have you, Robinson, ever actually like tried to jump up? Because think about how Bullet Bill is coming at you in Mario. Mario has to jump up at least half of his like height, right, in order to get up on top of Bullet Bill. Have you been able to like just do like a jump like half your height to
So
jump on top of something?
I do not have a 9 foot vertical, but what I can do is I'll belly flop it. That
You'll
way,
belly flop it.
I won't need to jump high. I'll just have to jump forward.
Mm, mm. What
So
about like Super Mario Odyssey, where you like throw your cap on it?
that's good. I'm always wearing a hat, and now I am the bullet.
Okay, great. I
So
am the bullet.
Fun fact: in Mario, a lot of the Koopalings are named after famous musicians. The most obvious ones are Ludwig, Iggy, and Lemmy, right?
Hmm.
But there's a Triceratops, right? That shows up in the new Super Mario games called Reznor,
Like
and he
Trent
is
Reznor?
exactly from Nine Inch Nails.
Oh man.
Yeah, the reason they chose this name is because Nine Inch Nails did the soundtrack for Quake,
Oh.
and that was one of the developers' favorite games as a child.
Mm. Have you actually like sat there and listened to like a Nine Inch Nails like album or like any of the songs?
I can't listen to rock unless I'm working out, or else I will harm something.
Oh well. I think was it Trent Reznor did like that song "Hurt," which got turned into a Johnny Cash impersonation, or like no, a Johnny Cash cover. But still, I think that's the only real thing that I know about Trent Reznor. Other than that, I think if I had to listen to between Trent Reznor and another one of the similar style, I'd probably choose like Tool. But then again, that's because the guy that like does the work on Tool does like all the sound. He does all the drums, all the guitar, all the like composition. So he's super good at what he does. But
I like to imagine instead of a very talented man who knows how to record separately, he is one man with 10 arms.
mm, mm, the octopus people, they're alive. So
Absolutely. And they're the front man for Tool.
the front man for Tool. Well, you know, speaking of music, we got some nerdy news to go over, and part of this nerdy news to go over is that a YouTube video posted on the Gorillaz official channel announced that the band is 20 years old. It's
They
the
look
20.
just as young as when they started out.
Well, the only person that's actually aged is because they're all obviously like anime characters, right? Or anime-esque style characters. Is Noodle, the young girl. She originally started out as like, a 12-year-old girl, and then if you look at her now, she's an adult. So there is that. But musician Damon Albarn and comic book artist Jamie Hewlett came up with the idea from, and I quote, "If you watch MTV for too long, it's a bit like hell. There's nothing of substance there. So we got this idea for a virtual band, something that would be a comment on something like that." End quote. With Albarn commenting that it just felt so manufactured. And we were like, let's just manufacture our own band, but make it kind of interesting. So the Gorillaz had their first ever title, their album, which is of the same name. It's just called The Gorillaz. And it was released in 2001. And it was recorded from 1998 to 2000 in the Gorillaz studio and 13 studio in London and the G Jam studios in Jamaica. And a lot of the Gorillaz, I'm sure if you've ever listened to them, is kind of like a mixture of like hip hop, Latin, dub, and like alternative music. And their first album, do you want to guess how much it sold for?
How much? I'm going to say, how much money do we make in a year?
Well, no, like just think about like how many, like let's measure it into how many albums that they sold, right? Because that's kind of the standard metric for a lot of musicians of how many albums did you actually physically sell?
All right, I'm going to go for 10,000.
You're going to go for 10,000. Okay. So the real numbers are in the United Kingdom, it sold 974,000 albums and 1.9 million albums in the United States. But their best-selling album, Demon Days, which was released in 2005, had sales of 1.9 million in the UK and 2.2 million in the United States. So, yeah, huge success, right? Like, that's a lot of money. Do you know who Damon Albarn, like, what band he previously played on?
No clue.
It was Blur. That song was like, woohoo! That alternative song. Yeah, which is like the only one that like anyone actually like remembers about Blur was that one.
Hey,
Yeah.
That's a lie. Blur was the main band in Lego Rock Band for the Nintendo DS. And I did not make that up.
The Lego Rock Band.
For Nintendo DS.
Oh my god, the DS had so many like random games and random genres, right? So have you've listened to the Gorillaz or have you not listened to the Gorillaz before?
No, I've never sat down and listened to them. The only song I know are the two big ones, Clint Eastwood and what's that other one called?
Feel Good Inc.
Feel Good, yeah, Feel Good.
Yeah, because like Feel Good Inc. is actually one of the most recognizable songs of the Gorillaz. It was released on like May 9th of 2005, which was kind of like a teaser for the album Demon Days, which sold like 2.2 in the United States, right? So the song reached number 14 on the US Billboard Top 100 for 2005 and 2006, but it reached number 1 on alternative airplay, which is the US Billboard subsection of the Top 100. And while it only reached number 1 and that kind of thing, it did reach number 1 in Greece, Ireland, and Spain of that same year. One of the scenes in the music video where you see Noodle playing like an electric guitar, or not electric guitar, acoustic guitar on a windmill that's kind of like flying around is that in a newspaper interview by Mark Kermode, Jamie Hewlett actually claimed that the music video where that was going on was inspired by Hayao Miyazaki's Castle in the Sky. So they kind of like snuck that in there.
I always get that one mixed up with Hal's Moving Castle.
Yeah, remember, one of them's flying, one of them's walking.
Ah, okay.
Yeah. Yeah. So,
Spirited Away, of course.
Spirited Away, man.
What was that one with the pig pilots? Ponderosa?
Or that was Porco Rosso.
Porco Rosso, yeah.
Yeah, because Ponderosa is a tree, right? So,
Oh yeah, speaking of pork, the new
yeah.
Nintendo Switch.
Oh my
Because
god,
man, they did us dirty.
how did they did us do it? Okay, tell me what's going on, Robinson.
So everybody should know here that I am a big Nintendo fan, and I've been wanting a Switch Pro since the day my massive hands touched those tiny, tiny, tiny Joy-Cons.
Mm,
And the Switch Lite made sense, right? This
right.
is the this is the portable only Switch, right?
Mm-hmm.
So it works for like what I would say my sisters, right? We got like 8 kids living in one house. You're not always gonna get the TV. Have the Switch Lite, right?
Yeah.
Also works for one of my sisters going off to college, right?
Right.
So the Switch Lite was a great idea, I would say. Now
Yeah.
the OLED is like, hey, you only get a benefits if you play it portably, but it has none of the benefits of the Switch Lite
Mm.
because the screen is bigger, right? The screen is going to be a good old 7 inches instead of the 2 inches that the regular Switch is, but that that doesn't really matter if you're not going to have all the benefits of a Switch Lite, right? Now
Right.
the big thing about it is the OLED screen, right?
Mm.
Again, something you're only gonna get if you're in portable mode. Like me, I don't usually play my Switch in portable mode because there are not very much instances where I'm out and about and I'm like, I got an hour to kill. You know what I
Mm.
mean?
Right. It's not like you're
So,
waiting at an airport, like it's for something to happen, or you're on a plane, or you're on a
yeah,
car drive, or you're on
yeah,
anywhere else that you're not actively supposed to be participating in, right?
exactly.
Mm.
And I hate airplanes so much. I am always the biggest person out there, and I'm always in the middle seat.
Mm.
So that's just as it's a good thing, right? But if they put the OLED screen on the Switch Lite, it would make the Switch Lite from a good idea to an amazing buy, right?
Mm. Okay,
And that's
but
the main thing that disappoints me because there are no hardware upgrades, right? None
well, I
of it.
mean, technically there is, right? Because there's that kickstand that like replaces
I
the
was
god awful little phalange of whatever it is on the back
I was
of
gonna
this one.
say, yeah, that kickstand, the Microsoft Surface style kickstand,
Mm.
because the one we have on the base Switch is awful.
Mm.
And it's breaking off more times than I can count. I honestly think all Switches, like, remember when the original Switch had a hacking exploit, so they replaced it with a new, better Switch?
Mm.
I think from now on, all Switches should have this stand. I'll be
Yeah,
honest,
well,
I'm more interested in the port than I am the Switch because the OLED port comes with a wired LAN port, so you don't have to buy a LAN adapter.
yeah. I also found that was kind of like interesting. I was like, can I just buy the dock for this? Can I not need to buy another? Was it $399? Is that the is the OLED version? What's the cost price of this one versus
I'm
the other
pretty sure
one?
it's $50 more, so it's 350.
Oh, it's 350. Okay, but
Yeah.
still, like, couldn't I just buy the port with the LAN? Because let's face it, Nintendo's connectivity problems is something. It's kind of a meme in itself, right? Of Nintendo has servers that are basically run by potatoes.
hmm Bill Nye the Science Guy was so proud that all his episodes are going to good work at Nintendo headquarters.
Oh my god!
No, you know how bad it was? I remember lagging in Pokemon Sword and Shield, a turn-based game, mind you.
Yeah, so there's not actually anything going on. It's just you're sitting there kind of waiting. I don't know. I was actually excited when I saw that it was like Nintendo Switch OLED. I thought it was like, okay, I guess they're not going for a Nintendo Switch 2. They're sticking with the brand name, right? Because that would make sense. That would make sense business-wise. You would save money. You wouldn't need to like make it recognizable outside of the already originally established brand. But when I watched it, you know what the first thing that I did that I went on the website to go look up was it was to
What's that?
go it was to go look up battery life. It was to go look up the actual specs other than that, because everything sounded really good, right? I think OLED screens are great. There are like darker blacks and deeper color hues and that kind of stuff, but that's not enough for me to actually want to go get a Nintendo Switch. I was like, oh man, the new screen sounds dope as fuck. But then I'm like, okay, but what happens with the battery life? And the battery life is estimated to be the same as the one that I have now. So, what's
That's
the
what I was
initial?
gonna say with no hardware updates. The only thing I would say that got better is the sound quality. But then again, if I ever have played my Switch out in public, it's either muted or I have headphones in.
Yeah, I actually did notice that because when I went to Santa Fe, I brought Persona Strikers on Switch, and I brought it with me to Santa Fe, and I either played it like sound off or in the room by myself. So, you know, um, still, I
Uh,
think if I had not bought into the new one with a better battery, if I still had the original Switch, then yeah, I would make an upgrade for this one. I just don't think that I can justify a purchase of like 350, not even including tax, because America for some reason doesn't include tax with your purchases, right? So 350 and some change. I don't
hmm
even know if it's worth that. I
And
couldn't
guess
justify that.
guess what? It still does not have
What?
Bluetooth functionality.
That's honestly another thing. I'm kind of like, why haven't they done that yet?
Bro, I've seen fridges with Bluetooth functionality. I don't know why
You
they're
don't
waiting
know.
on this. My potatoes don't need to connect to my headset, but my Switch does.
One of your strawberries need to tell you that they're just ripe enough.
Hmm.
No,
Oh,
no.
speaking of
Okay.
spe- speaking of ripe enough, it's time for us to take our break, and hopefully you'll hear from our brand new sponsor, which is really, really real. We'll be back in a second, folks. Thank you. And we are back. How'd y'all like that sponsor? Totally real, right? I know.
Wow. Great. I don't know. I don't know. I wasn't even listening. I was zoning out. I was thinking about something else. But still, um,
That's what we do. That's what we do during break. We just sit in silence because we actually don't like each other in real life.
200%. I like
So,
legit hate you.
all right. So, you got some news about you got news about graphics card prices?
Yeah, dude. So apparently graphics cards are actually growing down. So remember how like back in 2020 when all the graphics cards were coming out and they were getting bought out like within legit 5 seconds? Well, apparently they were being used in China for crypto mining. And
I knew
so
it.
you knew it. Yeah, and of course, right? Because what is it? The Chinese government has recently started that they're going to start clamping down on cryptocurrency. So
Really?
according to an article by WePC.com, the Sichuan-based miners have actually begun to sell off like their cards because they're trying to get their money back from buying all of these like crypto cards, right? So there is a price on eBay for a RTX 3060 going for 1760 yuan, uh, or won, which is pronounced as like the equivalent of like $270.
Oh,
So
dang.
yeah, which is like lower than MSRP, but then you also have like the fact of like it being a card used by crypto miners. So you don't know like if they just set the fan speed to 100% all the time or something like that. So who knows if that's actually like a legitimate kind of thing to buy. But still, Germany itself also started experiencing price drops by scalping as the scalping price went down 38%. But according to PC Games News.net, the rough price of the scalper prices is still about 153% above their listing price. So it's not really a good reason to like buy cars now because there's something lower, but like hey, that's good news because I don't know about you, but I actually tried to buy a PS5 back in the day And it did not happen. It didn't happen because those scalper bots fucking took everything like the plague. Like, you know, those locusts in biblical times where they just come in and they destroy entire communities?
Yep.
That is what scalpers have done to the gaming community, essentially.
And as Moses rised up out of the water, instead of a beard, he just has a neck beard. Instead of a staff, he just has a really long black scratcher. And he lifted his
Instead of the stone tablets, instead of like the stone tablets that Moses had, you just see like a PlayStation 5 in one, and then like an Xbox Series X in the other one. Just this is this is the word of God. I don't know.
When he comes down, instead of his followers worshiping a bronze bull, they're all just playing on Switches.
Oh my God! So you want to know like one of the major reasons why China started like cracking down on like cryptocurrencies?
I actually do want to know, because China usually does not give a darn about what their citizens do unless it harms China itself.
I mean, hey, one of the major reasons for like the slowdown in prices is actually that China's central bank last Tuesday on July 6th called for a company that was, quote, suspected of providing software services for virtual currency transactions to be like dissolved, to be like utterly dissolved. So the Chinese Communist government can actually dissolve your corporation for that. And this is kind of like following two other things that happened, because the Chinese Communist Party banned financial institutions and payments from companies from providing crypto-related services, while in June, there were actually mass arrests of people using cryptocurrencies for, quote, nefarious ways. And they even pressured banks and payment businesses to stop providing crypto services in general. And one of the reasons that China's like really kind of cracking down on this is because of the Plus Token Ponzi scheme. So if you don't know what that is, Plus Token is a Chinese cryptocurrency Ponzi scheme that swindled 14.8 billion yuan, or about $5.7 billion in American money, from their investors. The CEO, Chen Bo, and 27 other executives at the Plus Token were recently sentenced to prison and had to pay fines ranging from $18,000 to $914,000 United States dollars. So, like, I'm not joking. Like, the Ponzi scheme, it affected 2.6 million people who had thought, like, of investing in cryptocurrency in general. The Yongqing court in China also provided that, like, not only were the orchestrators using new investments to pay off, like, initial investors, which is, like, a typical thing that a Ponzi scheme does, but they used some of the funds to buy luxury cars and new houses when they clearly did not have the ability to pay for it in the first place. And they invested in real estate, organized events for their, like, company, and even organized these events to recruit more people to scam money off of. But this isn't really the only Ponzi scheme that happened. Last year, in November of 2020, there was another Ponzi scheme known by Wo Token, where the CEO and the top executives were not only sentenced to 9 years in prison, but had to pay $63.6 million in fines. So China is 100% believing that, you know, the whole cryptocurrency thing is a scam. And to be quite honest, I honestly think that cryptocurrency is a massive scam in the first place. It's just the stock market, except the stock market actually has ties to like a real financial institution, right? So if you're investing in stock, you know that you're investing in the company, like investing in the actual corporation. But with cryptocurrency can be flooded, or it can also be dried out just by people adding and removing money. And so millionaires could use it as like a big way to like cheat out other people from their money. Like think about Elon Musk, right? So I despise Elon Musk. I hate Elon Musk. One of the things, well, I hate a lot of billionaires because I'm biased against billionaires. I think billionaires that make that much amount of money, it's kind of almost bordering on like a mental illness. Because think about it like this, Robinson. If you are a researcher, if you're like an anthropologist and you're studying monkeys, right? Monkeys usually like will have bananas and they'll keep one or two, But imagine if you saw a monkey that hoarded thousands of bananas, right?
Yeah.
And
See,
yeah,
this doesn't help your case because I love Donkey Kong.
yeah, but still, like, think about, like, because Donkey Kong, though, is, like, made by conception, but still, monkeys like that don't genetically or have any of this behavior of hoarding tons of bananas. Like, that much bananas. If that monkey was actually a real thing, then we would look at that monkey and be like, what the fuck is wrong with that monkey? Why is it hoarding bananas? Why isn't it eating bananas?
Because it wants
So,
to genetically make cat monkeys.
what's to
It's
make
just
cat
it's
monkeys?
just monkeys with cat ears.
Yeah. Well, I'm also kind of like pissed at Elon Musk because like his company is charging what is it? Like subscription services for their cars.
Wait,
And
wait, wait a minute. I haven't heard of this.
yeah, you didn't know? Like Tesla is actually requiring that if you buy a Tesla from someone secondhand outside of the dealership, that if you want anything of the other things like self parking or automated driving, you actually have to pay Tesla. Not only do you have to pay the person that gave you the Tesla, but you also have to pay Tesla, the corporation itself.
Yeah, that part I don't like
You know,
because
like
like
that.
I've only bought cars secondhand. Like I swear, if my 1996 Mazda did not come with a parking feature until I paid.
Yeah, and like I don't know, it's still it's like unfettered greed, but still I can kind of empathize, and there won't be much of this, but I kind of empathize with the Chinese government on this of like, okay, fine, like go after scammers, go after that kind of stuff, but then they're also kind of throwing the whole baby out with the bathwater thing.
Hmm.
Like, two Ponzi schemes, throw this out now. So there. But hey, at least we're getting cheaper graphics cards.
Oh
So
yeah, and with those cheaper graphics cards, you can play these upcoming games, both of which are not on PC.
or not on PC. Yeah.
Actually, they're
So or do you have
so
like any or so are there games coming out that you want to talk about or what?
yeah. So this week we got a few games coming out. So if you're a boring person who likes to watch paint dry and turtles die of starvation, F1 2021 is coming out.
F1 2021. Is that like the F1
It's
racing game?
Yeah, yeah. I can't get behind racing games unless they have like some stupid gimmick like Burnout.
Dude, I think you're going to make some of our non-existent fans mad.
Well, that's okay. They can tweet at me at my. I don't even have a Twitter account.
She'll probably start a Twitter too. I don't know.
I'll do
Maybe
that.
something. You'll do
Uh,
that. Great. Yeah, I don't want any of that social media stuff.
Now, if you're a weird person, there is a Space Jam: A New Legacy video game coming out this week, exclusive to the Xbox systems.
Is it going to be available on that subscription service that they have?
Um, I'm gonna say most likely. I can't find much information on it. I don't even know what the gameplay's gonna look like. I don't know if it's like NBA Playgrounds, which is actually a great time, or it's gonna be like some side-scrolling platformer that should have been deleted. But
Mm.
one game that I am actually excited about that more fans that don't exist are gonna get mad at me at is Legend of Zelda Skyward Sword is coming out on the 16th.
Mm.
And I do want to try it because I've never played the original. Well, I did play the original, but I was a dumb little kid, so I don't remember anything about it.
I think one of the things that kept me away from that kind of game was the fact that you had to use the Wii mote to like do anything in that. So I'm not sure like how that really is going to work with the new Nintendo Switch, right? Because if you put that on the Nintendo Switch, obviously you can take the controller, the dual cons, the Joy Cons off, and like use them as something like that. But I don't know how. Like I'm someone who's like really lazy, so if I'm playing video games, I do not want to like get up and work out to play video games.
So
How would you do that with the? Could you play it as like an actual Nintendo Switch game?
actually, yes, because I've been keeping up. There was a commercial. There was actually a commercial that gave us a lot of information. One is that you will have like the fluid sword control, but if you want to play with a controller, it will be mapped to the right stick.
Hmm.
Now,
Okay.
One thing that I saw that everybody complained about that I never noticed is that Fi shuts up.
Yeah.
Another thing
Mm.
that I saw that I thought was really stupid is, according to everybody, in the old Skyward Sword, you know how every Zelda game, even up to Breath of the Wild, you pick something up for the first time, it gives you the da na 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 and explains what it is, whether that's a green rupee, a honeycomb, or like gauntlets, right?
Mm. Yeah.
Turns out in the old Skyward Sword there was a glitch that if you turned the Wii off, it would restart all of these. So every
Restart
time,
all of them.
yeah, every time you turn on your Wii again, you get the introduction for every item again.
Oh. Oh.
Apparently they fixed
Okay.
that.
Mm.
Oh, and here's something that people are worried about that I'm honestly a tad worried about too, is that Amiibo. When they came out, I thought they were cool, right? Because
Hmm.
it's basically toys that have some DLC if you're so inclined to do so. And in some video games, they act as cheats. Like in Super Mario Odyssey, I 100%ed that game only because of the Bowser amiibo. What it does is it shows you where the purple coins are.
Really?
So, yeah, no. I
Hmm.
thought the amiibos were great. And now, this is the only, like, like not offensive, but worrying use is that there's a I'm not sure if it has to be a Zelda amiibo or a specific Link Skyward Sword amiibo, but they're locking the fast travel feature behind this amiibo, right?
Mm.
And fast travel is something that's been in video games for a long time. That's never been
Mm.
like a DLC option.
Mm. That's
And
weird.
also,
So they're unlocking. So you can only get fast travel by buying an amiibo for the new Legend of Zelda.
yes, well, that's what I think. That's what it seems to me, right?
Okay.
Also, a quick update on Space Jam. It is actually a side-scrolling beat 'em up where you can play as Michael B. Jordan. No, LeBron James. You can play
Oh
as
my god.
LeBron James or Bugs Bunny, and to celebrate its release, there are 3 exclusive Space Jam Xbox controllers that you can buy.
There are three. Okay. So then
Three.
what's on, like, there are three. So what are the three, like, do they have any pictures of the, like, what the controllers look like, or is it
So
just kind of like,
yeah,
just
I
take our
actually
word for it?
I actually have the pictures. I'll send you it on Discord. But
Oh my god.
for our audio only listeners, which is all of you, we got the Goon Squad controller, purple and black. We got the Toon Squad controller, in blue and orange, and we got the Serververse, which I think it's something with the new movie. I don't remember anything about a Serververse,
Hmm.
but I'll
When
be
does the
honest.
movie come out?
They're
Anyways.
good looking controllers. I'll give them that.
Hmm. Hmm. When does the movie come out? Anyways.
I have no clue. All I know is that I'm not gonna watch it in theaters.
You're not gonna watch it. Oh my
I'll
god.
watch it when I can bootleg it. Who
Yeah.
knows? Maybe it'll be movie of the year, a hidden movie of the year. Well, not
Hmm.
like the Sonic movie was a movie of the year, but it was way better than what I expected.
Yeah. Um. No, like that's something I agree with you, because you were talking about the Sonic movie, right?
Yeah.
The live action one with what's his face and the guy that played John Ralphio in Parks and Rec.
Yeah,
Um.
that okay.
Yeah,
That's
that
one
was the
thing.
voice of Sonic.
Yeah, yeah. But that's one thing I don't like about these Hollywood video movies. Instead of getting the good voice actors that we're used to, they use like the trendy people right now. For example, the new Scooby Doo movie, Scoob, right? Not saying the voice cast was horrible, but I would have much preferred like the gang from probably not the old one because they're probably not in working order. But
Mm.
like even what's new Scooby Doo, the that cast would have been fantastic.
Mm. Mm. Yeah. Well, I think a lot of it is that, like, the original voice cast is like getting up in age, my guy.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. I was looking up the thing. So Ben Schwartz was Sonic the Hedgehog. Jim Carrey was obviously Dr. Eggman, right? And
That
James Marsden, you know, James Marsden was the sheriff, aka the Donut Lord.
exactly.
I'm not gonna lie. Um, I went in with very little expectations of that movie, and again, I was blown away. Like, it was not the worst movie that I've ever seen, and I think it was because it was not directed by Paul, like, Anderson.
It had some shockingly smart jokes in it. Like, I remember at the beginning when they're like, we need to call Robotnik. One guy's like, we can't call Robotnik. Remember what happened in Pakistan? Remember what happened, like, in Uga Bukistan? Some guy goes, that's not a real place. And the guy responds, thanks to Eggman, it's not anymore. That's an incredibly smart joke.
Yeah. Yeah, what was it? I think like one of the things that I like about that movie a lot is the chemistry between like James Marsden and Tika Sumpter, who's like his girlfriend, is actually kind of genuine. And I think that even like there's really hard to do like a bro comedy movie when you're like basically talking to nothing, right? But like he just kind of shows you how professional that Ben Schwartz and like James Marsden were able to do a bro comedy when someone was not even present and filming for the entire thing, right? So, yeah.
You know what? Here's my conspiracy theory. I think that they made the original when they made the original Sonic design. I think they made it look horrifying on purpose. I honestly think that was part of the plan. Get everybody talking about it, right?
Right.
Because the movie was not delayed. The movie was not delayed that far off. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, it still came out at like for being announced and released. It came out at like a pretty reasonable time.
Yeah. I think one of the things that like got to me was that they were trying to follow like Detective Pikachu, which is actually another movie that I had very little problem with. But I think it's probably because it's Ryan Reynolds carrying that movie the entire time on his small, tiny Pikachu back. But still, like, you know, because how they, with Detective Pikachu, they made all the Pokemon look, quote, realistic. And then, you know, they try to make Sonic look more realistic. Well, like, he's an anthropomorphic, like, you know, hedgehog. How are you going to make him look more realistic than what he's already is, which is a cartoon character? And I think for me that got it was the human teeth. Because you know the part where like he's screaming, where he and James Marsden are screaming. Like there's a part where he has like actual like human shaped teeth in his mouth.
The original,
that kind of creeped
the redesign.
Yeah. No, the original.
Yeah,
like
that was awful.
Yeah, like the one where it was just kind of like, oh, cool. Nightmares exist in the real world then, and that's one of them.
Yeah, it's because Sonic exists in the real world too.
Dude, you know what also is kind of thing, so when you're doing video game announcements, the horrifying thing that I remember how bad Cyberpunk 2077 was?
Oh, yeah.
Did you ever buy that game? Did you ever play that game?
You're funny. So, I stopped buying. I stopped buying things on launch unless it's Nintendo, you know what I mean? Like, the last two things, I didn't even buy a Switch on launch. Because the Wii U broke my heart so badly. But the last two things I bought on launch was Smash Bros. Ultimate and Luigi's Mansion 3.
Yeah. Well, I mean, Luigi's Mansion 3 is just a classic. It is the pinnacle of video games.
Oh, absolutely.
In my opinion.
Also, I would have bought The Binding of Isaac Repentance on launch day. But the issue is, like, that game has literally 553 secrets / achievements. And I have like 60% done on my Switch and like 20% done on my PC. It doesn't come out on Switch until September.
Okay. Well, so just to get you kind of this thing, because I actually did play Cyberpunk 2077, because I remember watching that in 2013, like January 2013, when I was in Huntsville, Texas. I remember watching that and being like, I need to have that, like the original trailer. Like if you ever watch the original trailer, it's like really slow, and you see like this buildup of like the news and the music that's going on is like this really trippy not post-punk, but electronic music. And it's like this girl, and she's wearing lingerie, but she also has mantis blades coming out of her forearms, and she's just murdered the fuck out of a couple of people. And you just see kind of the buildup of it, and then there's that part where like you see her, and then she closes her eyes, and then you see the shot before she closed her eyes, and all of a sudden there's like a guy in a like military tech suit and like got a shotgun on the back of her head, and I was just like, ooh, okay, I'm in. I want this. And then heard nothing about the game for until like what, 2018 or something like that. So
that's the funny thing. When it was announced in 2013, I wasn't allowed to watch R-rated movies because I was 13 at the time.
dude,
So when it was
stop.
announced again by Keanu Reeves in like 2018, for me that was the first time it was announced, and I was like, oh, cool, because I'm not a super triple A type of person. Um, like I said, my favorite genre is the platformer.
Well, the reason that I'm asking about like the Cyberpunk game is because apparently Netflix is coming with a 10 episode story called Cyberpunk Edge Runners, and it's a Netflix exclusive anime where a street kid is
Oh,
going to
okay.
try to survive by becoming an edge runner, which if you don't know anything about like the lore is kind of the people who are like hackers essentially.
I
That's
will
their
s-
version.
I will say this: next Netflix video game shows have been fantastic lately. Netflix video game anime like Castlevania and the new Dota series is amazing.
Dude, I was not a Castlevania person, and then I watched the anime, and I was like, "This is great. I need to go play some of the old games."
Hmm.
It's good. Like, it's legitimately good. Like, I was not expecting it. Like, the first time that you see someone get like gruesomely murdered, I was like, "Oh shit!" Like, it just kind of popped out at you on the screen, and you weren't expecting it, right? Because it's a Netflix anime, and up to that point, it's been like, "What have they done before?" Right?
Like what their last original anime was Neo Yokio featuring Jaden Smith.
Yeah, that was actually kind of funny. But then, what's the other anime that like Savannah and I watch? So Savannah and I watch this anime called like Retsuko, and if you've ever watched it, it's like the
I love,
Sanrio.
yeah, I love Agretsuko, the one with the red
Yeah,
panda. Yeah, I
yeah,
love that
Agretzko.
anime.
Yeah. So Gretzko, like we marathoned the entire season like in one day because we both loved it. It was one of those things of like I was just starting to get her into anime, and of course I started her off with a little bit of like Full Metal Alchemist Brotherhood, right? And we marathoned that in a couple of weeks. And then after that, like I introduced her to like My Hero Academia, and then we have this rule, which is what I call the 2 episode rule, right? So this is something kind of like when you grow up to be an adult, you have to develop these things because you don't want to invest your time in anime or video games or really anything that makes you work for it or that you have to like really think about. So for me, most of the time that I actually like anime, I give it 2 episodes. If it does not catch my attention by 2 episodes or whatever, then I don't watch the anime, right? I
You
just
know what?
abandon the series.
I respect that, but because I was a dumb little kid when I watched these animes, I gave One Piece 300 episodes, and I gave Hunter x Hunter 10 episodes.
I've tried to
I
get
know.
into Hunter x Hunter for like 30 times. And
I will say by like the 11th episode it'll finally get you. But I completely understand because I'm the same now. Like um, I'm exactly the same. I give everything like 2 episodes or to catch my attention, right? And if it can't do that, I'm like, eh. Oh, but you got some anime you want to announce real quick, and we're running out
oh
of time.
yeah.
So
Yeah.
everybody,
So
make sure you watch Castlevania. It has incredible violence and disturbing imagery, such as a demon carrying a baby in its mouth, a dead baby. So
mm,
that's something you
mm,
gotta, if you're not into. But
yeah.
everybody should watch the Dota anime. 1000%
So
watch Dota.
2 anime that I've been excited about that are being announced to return back in 2022 is Vinland Saga, which is like the Viking one, and I think that one is actually really good. So if you haven't given it, here's kind of the catch for it. So Vinland Saga is a manga that was turned into an anime about the Viking explorer Thorfinn Karlsbini, and he's the person that tried to establish a colony in like Canada. He's one of the first Vikings there. So, like, Leif Erikson was the first person to discover Canada, but Thorfinn was the first person to actually try to establish a colony in Canada. So, the prequel season, which just came out, was really popular, and they announced that they are coming up with a season 2. And then the next one that I'm actually kind of excited about is that The Rise of the Shield Hero is going to be coming out in April of 2022.
Oh my
Second
gosh.
Season.
I love Rise of the Shield Hero so much.
Oh, yeah?
So for our viewers, okay. So for our viewers, Rise of the Shield Hero is an isekai, one of those, oh, we got transported to a video game RPG world, right?
Right.
But the thing is, this is one of the most gritty, dark, depressing isekais world out there, and I really like that. For example, here's the main plot of the story. 4 heroes get teleported into the isekai, right? You got the spear hero, the sword hero, the bow hero, and the shield hero. That's our main character. God, I don't even want to say it because it is such a good. The first episode has an event so amazing. I guarantee that if you don't love it, it's just not for you. But watch Rising of the Shield Hero. Give the first episode a watch. Guarantee one of the best isekais you'll watch.
Yeah, no, I like it. I like it because I can watch it in German on Crunchyroll. So, I mean, you can watch most things, but still. So, yeah, Vinland Saga, Rising of the Shield Hero, and I'm actually legit not gonna lie, Cyberpunk Edgerunners might seem like it's a good thing because I like Cyberpunk in general.
Did you say drug runners?
No, Edgerunners.
I swear I heard drug runners.
No, I said Edgerunners, my guy. But still, the 10-episode thing, who knows? Netflix, they might have their A game, they might not, but whatever. I mean, it might be the same.
And I will say that these American animes, also known as cartoons, I honestly love that they're coming out with adult storylines in animated form because I prefer animation to live action unless it's going to be like Marvel where they have a $7 million budget. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Well, not even 7 million. What am I talking about? Like 700 million.
Yeah. Well, I mean, what is it? Like, have you ever played The Last of Us?
Yes, I have.
Yeah. So, you know that they're coming out with a live action or live action TV show?
See, that could work for The Last of Us.
Okay, but now what if I told you there was a live action TV show, but it was also being made by HBO?
All right.
Cool. The people that have like
Game
infinite amount of money.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like Game of Thrones. Like I would never ever believe that Game of Thrones could actually stand off as a TV show if it wasn't for the fact that like HBO poured tons of money into Game of Thrones, right? And they're pouring tons of money into this new movie. Mm-hmm. So I mean,
that's something to watch out for. But what I mean with animation is, like, I love animation because I love watching fantasies. I don't like watching dramas. I'll read a good drama, you know what I mean? But I don't want to watch it. Like, if Marriage Story was a book, it'd be a much more enjoyable experience for me than it was as a movie.
If Marriage Story, are you talking about the one that was like with Kylo Ren in it?
Yes,
Adam Driver.
Yeah, Kylo Ren and Black Widow.
Oh my God! Okay.
It was actually an incredibly emotional movie, but as I said, if it was a book, it would have hit me 5 times as hard. But as a movie, I find it very hard to be engaged. But that's why I love animation. You can do whatever you want. And you don't need the $1 million budget.
I don't know, I mean, like, think about how much money they had to sink into, like, video games like, what is it, Star Wars Jedi Fallen Order? That game, honestly, that was one of, like, I don't know, I'm torn between that game. Don't get me started, because I don't want to spend another fucking 30 minutes talking about how much I hate, like, corporate, what corporations think that we want from Star Wars. And I don't know, but still, outside of that, like, I think The Last of Us, because it's being bought by HBO and run by HBO, is going to be great. because how could they not? They're actually working with Neil Druckmann and Mazin or Mazin. I'm not sure how to pronounce his last name, but still, like they got Pedro Pascal from The Mandalorian and from Game of Thrones 2 playing it. He's gonna be Joel. He's not my first pick as Joel, but Pedro Pascal has been killing it so much that I'm just like, you know what? Fuck it, give it to him. He's earned it. Like he's earned that kind of thing.
My first pick for every movie role is Danny DeVito. But if he makes a cameo as a mushroom man, that's good enough for me.
He's the trash man, but he's a mushroom zombie. So
I'm the trash man. I throw brains all over, this desecrated town, and then I start eating it.
Damn. Okay, I'm ready for this show to come out, but they haven't even like announced when it's coming out for HBO. I actually might get HBO Max just to watch the like Last of Us TV series. I really want to watch it. Like there's no joke. Like it's one of those of like I played the original Last of Us like when it was on the PS3 or PS4.
The original Last of Us was PS3. They did re-release it for PS4, which is how I played it.
Because I played it on the PS3 because I had bought my parents got me a PS3 when I was like my senior in college. So I played it on the original PlayStation 3, and it was good. Like it was one of those things of I just started dating Savannah, and she came over to my apartment after she was done, at work, and she walked in, and I had just finished the game. And it was just this title screen, and she just came in, and I was sitting there just staring at the title screen, and she was just like, "Are you fine?" And I was just like, "Yeah."
I need a minute.
I need to think about it, because like one of those things about really good movies or anime or video games or anything, I will actually be in a little bit of a state of shock, right? If something's really good to the point where it affects me personally, to that point where I just sit there and instantly just go inside of my mind and start debating the entire thing, then it's a good thing, right? So Last of Us did that to me. The only Star Wars film of the new generation to actually do that to me was what was the one with the rebels? I'm trying to remember. I'm a bad Star Wars fan. No, not Clone Wars.
Rogue One?
Talking about Rogue One, yeah. Rogue One did that to me, right? Rogue One was one of those things of like, on the drive home, I was silent. I could not think, because I was like, do I like this? Do I not like this? That Darth Vader hallway scene fucked me up real big. So, I don't know, man. This is there.
Sorry about that interruption. There was a dog barking. And now the barking has ceased.
Has ceased. Did you silence the dog like Old Yeller? Is that how you ceased it, man?
Two behind the ears. I'm talking about scratches. I gave him 2 scratches behind the ears, and he calmed down.
That went from like super dark to really wholesome really quickly.
I don't know. I feel like in real life I'd never be able to put a dog down. It'd have to be like, hey, listen, you're my best friend. Pick him up, and then don't see me for another month.
Damn. Well,
but you were saying about. Oh wait, I was saying that I don't really get shocked after movies unless it's like the bad ending, right? Like the villain one.
Yeah.
Because then I'm like, oh no, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And but when it's a good movie, like I'm like, dang, that was a good story. And the last game to do that to me that wasn't Last of Us was Uncharted 4. Amazing story.
Yeah. Uncharted series, though, is kind of one of those things of Naughty Dog trying to push that boundary between movies and video games. Mm-hmm. And I think it makes sense that, like, more people are starting to watch or play video games or watch video games over the movie industry. And I think that's something that's kind of making them freak out a little bit, because think about it like this, right? If you go to a movie if I go to a movie with Savannah, the top amount of money that we're going to be spending at this thing, if we get movie plus popcorn, is roughly going to be like $40, right? That's a lot of money for a movie. But if I spend $60 on a video, well, I guess 70 now if I get a PS5. But if I spend 70, just think about the difference in time that I'm going to be enjoying this product, right? So I have, 2 hours, 3 hours max of a movie. Unless I watch the Snyder cut of like the Justice League, which I'm not going to, but
on
still.
HBO Max.
Yeah, on HBO Max, yeah.
So,
HBO Max, sponsor us.
oh,
Give me
absolutely.
money me now. Still, but like then video games, you have upwards of like 4 times that at minimum, right? Like Persona 5, the very first tutorial area you don't really get to until about 2 hours into it. Like it's one of those of like, okay, this is a lot of stuff. This is I'm getting my value for it.
Well, one of my favorite games of all time, like literally top 5, the Yakuza series, Yakuza 0. So many cutscenes, but so well orchestrated. If you like Japanese crime dramas and you're a fan of beat 'em ups, 3D beat 'em ups, I beg you, play the Yakuza 0. If you don't love Yakuza 0, that's fine. If you love Yakuza 0, play all the Yakuza. It's literally the reason why I bought a PlayStation 4. I played Yakuza 0, which is a prequel to the entire series, which started in 2005. I played Kiwami 1 and Kiwami 2, which is a remake of the first game and the second game. And I bought my PS4 because 3, 4, 5 were not on Steam. But now they are on Steam.
Okay.
So I will say this. Play all the games normally on Yakuza 3. It's not a remake, it's a re-release. So just play it on easy. Because that game kind of sucks. But
That
the
game
story
kinda sucks.
story is fantastic, so just play it on easy.
Well,
Also,
still.
a family strategy with me is that because I have so many siblings, everybody pays for a subscription. My mom pays the Netflix, I pay the Hulu, my grandma plays that Disney Plus, and Jolene picked up the HBO Max bill.
Oh, wow. Okay. Hey, that's nice.
And what a beautiful way to close, because Stanley, if you went in the morning to the movies like I do, instead of $40, you'd pay $32. And
Great.
with that, we're almost on our way out of hell. Carry On's boat is approaching us.
Yeah.
I don't know too many hell references. I'm a good Christian lad. But
Oh.
you got anything to end off on, Stanley?
Dude, I will fucking see you in hell.
And you know what? I'll see you there too, because I can't think of anything else funny to say. Y'all have a great day, viewers. Goodbye.
Bye.